Oh, hey, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. You're watching Rebel Roundup, our daily news and opinion live stream. And some days it is definitely live. I'm your regular host, Sheila Gunn Reid, and I'm joined by the absolute feast for the eyes today, Lise Merle, my real life best friend in Regina, Saskatchewan. Lise, how's it going?
Well, hello, Sheila Gunn Reid, and hello, Canada. It is great to be here today. Oh, are there some juicy stories coming out of Saskatchewan in these last 24 hours? I can tell you that I've done more talking with lawyers in these last 24 hours than I have in my whole life leading up until
Yeah.
this point. So I think we're going to get into that a little bit, and there's just a bunch of other just really fascinating stories that we're keeping our eye on. So it's great to be here.
Yes. Yeah, it's something. And if people want to hear more about us complaining about Saskatchewan, you are the guest on the Gun Show this week, which airs tomorrow at 7 Mountain Standard Time. But I'll tell everybody what we're doing and how they can get involved, and then we'll get into the news of the day because we described this show just moments before we came on air as a banger of a show, and I think it is. Lots of government overreach happening, and anyway, we'll get to it. But if you want to get involved in the show, you're watching us on Rumble because you believe in a great free speech platform. One of the ways you can support the work that we do is by leaving us a paid chat on Rumble. It's called a Rumble Rant. If it's over the $5 US cutoff, we're making it obligatory. We will read it on air. But you know what? We do our very, very best to make time for the chats that fall under that because we know that yeah, you're making a conscious choice to support us. And we know there are a lot of places that you could support with your hard-earned money. And Mark Carney's already making you support places that you don't like. So we appreciate you so much. If you're watching us over on YouTube, you can leave a super chat over there. That's their paid chat. But also, if you are watching the recorded version of the show and you are so taken by myself and my good friend Lise that you are moved by the spirit to leave us a paid comment, it's called a super thanks, and we appreciate you so much for that. So those are the ways you can get involved, and we'll never take a penny from the government to do the work that we do, and how could we hold them to account if we did? So we rely on the support of folks like you at home. Let's get into, and I know there's some conservatives that I normally agree with on a great many things, who are on the other side of this issue as me. And so I'm trying to act with um,
Balance,
kindness,
balance.
kindness,
Yeah,
balance.
yeah.
I'm doing what I can, but there are also like the liberal madmen who I'm just like, oh, okay, so you're just this is COVID 2.0
Mhm.
lockdowns. Got it. Got it.
Mhm.
Got it. Got it. So the woods ban. So the woods ban has expanded um, across now two, three Atlantic provinces.
The Maritimes,
The
yep.
Maritimes, although people get uppity when you call New Brunswick the Maritimes.
Oh, do they? They're
I
like,
don't,
it's not,
I don't know. I'm a
not part of
Westerner. I
it.
don't know. I
It's
wouldn't
not
even,
part of it.
sometimes I would even consider Manitoba part of the West. So,
Right.
like people,
Sometimes,
whatever.
yeah.
It's
It's up.
perspective.
Yeah.
So, as wildfires rage in two Atlantic provinces, frustrations are increasing over government decisions in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick to ban people from the tinder dry forests on Crown land. The ban prevents people from enjoying a stroll through the woods, camping, fishing, or driving their ATVs on trails as part of the effort to prevent human activity from sparking dangerous wildfires. Now, there are things in there that I think, okay, yeah, let's not do that. Like, let's not drive our ATVs out in the bushes. Your tailpipe can throw a spark. I've seen this firsthand, and you can nearly burn down all of Swan Hills, which is sort of what I was witness to one time. Um, and even camping with a fire. Okay, I get it, but walking
Hmm.
is going to cause a fire. Anyway. Um, and some people are calling it government overreach, and at least one man is protesting by deliberately violating the ban. And this is Jeff Everly. He's a Nova Scotia resident near Sydney, and he got his $28,000 fine. It's almost
Oh,
28, 29 because
the fine is $25,000, but then to add insult to injury, they add tax on top of the
they add all
$25,000
these like
tax fine.
surcharges, and they want like victim surcharges and stuff. And like, who's the victim here? The government, because you didn't listen to their stupid rules.
It is
Um,
insane.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's mental. And then of course we have our moral and intellectual superiors. I forget what this podcast is called, but it's got Corey Tenike and Scott Reed. And so you have your Doug Ford conservative types, and then your Mark Carney liberal types. And this is supposed to be like their attempt at ecumenism. No, we're reaching across the political lines to discuss things with each other. And it's like, there are no political lines between you two people. You guys care about power.
You got it.
The political line is between you people and the rest of us.
Yes.
But anyways, this is how they get together and they talk about people who can't afford any other recreational activities except wandering in the woods, thanks to the current economic climate, which is propped up by the political decisions of these people.
The National Post, I think, has 4 articles about this a day. Like, it's
Well,
not just
you know,
X. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. Post media. Like these fucking people, man. These fucking
Okay.
people who don't step foot in the woods, right? Who don't live there. And they don't have any practical experience with this. They decide that this is a nice National Review, modern MAGA argument that they want to elicit. Like, you're going to look a firefighter in the face who's busting their guts, right? Risking their life to try to not just to try to contain this thing. And all they're saying is, you know what? Like, let's not make the problem worse. Okay. Give us a chance at trying to get our hands around this thing. And these people are sitting in Toronto, you know, in a cafe writing because the Post media editor said, we'd like 3 more articles on this. And they're all wound up about how, you know, oh, my rights are being trampled on. This is the problem. This drives me crazy. I'm going to my mind, what's the defining characteristic of MAGA, of this whole sort of, you know, post-COVID pushback, conservative sort of thought line, small c conservative, whatever it is, all that convoy conservatism, right? It's selfishness. It's just undisguised selfishness. I want to fucking do it. I have no sense of community, no sense of obligation to my neighbors, family, friends. If it's what I want to do, well, then I'm a hero. Now, these are the same people who will stand in their driveway with a bottle of beer and bitch and moan about why isn't the government cracking down on those that break the law and do this and do that. Why don't they enforce it? But it's when they enforce something they dislike, well, then they are all they're all freedom fighters. Like, fuck you. We have obligations. We live in a society. If a place is on fire, we rally together to help them. You don't say, well, this is an abrogation of my rights. Like, just fuck right off to these people. Like, I see all these guys in Toronto. I know some of these conservative writers. Like, and it's like, Jesus Christ, have you ever pulled a pair of boots on in your whole life?
Look how funny these people
Like,
think they are.
it's insane.
That was good.
Yeah,
was really
that's good. Yeah, that's
Well, I
Yeah, that was good.
feel personally violated by that tirade. I feel actually personally violated by that tirade, knowing that it was aimed at people exactly like me, Sheila Gunn Reid, like you, like normal everyday Canadians who aren't willing to set down their rights to let the government trample over them and to be punished for fair use of public spaces. This is craziness. Such craziness.
I forget who that loser is, and that shows you how much I care about his opinions. But I effing dare you, because I guess you get to swear a lot, and that's how your point
Yeah.
becomes more important than other people's rights. Is I effing promise you that I am more outdoorsy than that guy. This does he think that people are coming from Toronto to use the woods in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia? These are the locals who are outraged. You idiot. Didn't his tirade sound a lot like, if you don't follow the lines in the grocery store, you hate grandmas?
Oh,
Because he said, if you don't stay out of the woods, you hate firefighters.
If
No.
you couldn't draw a stronger parallel between COVID era behavior and government overreach than this right here. They are using the same playbook. They are saying the same things. They're triggering, okay, to the people that only follow the mainstream media, the mass hysteria that allowed COVID era mandates to be declared from on high on the entire population of the country. They're doing it again. It is the same behavior. It is
Yeah.
deplorable.
Yeah, and look how they talk down to people. He's created a complete straw man in his head. He says these are the people who stand at the end of their driveways with a beer bottle. Oh, okay. So why don't you just say stand in their trailer parks? You
Right.
uppity jerk. But they demanding that the police crack down on crime. Yeah, real crime. Real
Right.
crime. Real violent crime. It's not a crime to walk in the woods.
That's right.
You know, these are the Scott Reed. These are the same people who want to know why you can light 30 fires as a volunteer firefighter, not even have to pay restitution or see the inside of a jail cell.
I am so happy you mentioned this.
$1,000 to walk in the woods. And I promise you, that veteran who got dinged with that is out there in the woods more than the likes of Scott Reed, whose feet probably don't get off pavement.
That's exactly right.
For 3 or 4 times a year.
That
I fancy you to find somebody more outdoorsy than me.
yeah.
And I'm not taking any lectures from downtown Toronto liberals about who cares more about nature. It's outrageous. This guy is, you know what, this is what it is. It's classism. And you heard it there when he said, these are the same people who stand at the end of their driveway with a beer bottle. No, they're cans. Why? Because I can crush them on my head when I'm done like a good hillbilly. Absolute jerk.
Nobody wants to risk glass.
Right.
Like only very gentrified fancy people drink glass bottles on the edge of their driveway. Yeah, that's a table drink. Okay, you must have a table or a bar for a glass bottle.
Right.
Sir. Otherwise, cans.
Ugh,
We
what
have
a
an
jerk.
extensive collection of koozies.
Yes. We'll have a good can. You could step on it when you're done in celebration.
Mhm.
But yeah, and did you see the so-called conservatives on the panel there? Corey tonight, I'm looking at you. He just laughed. He thought it was funny.
Hilarious.
So-
They delight
so
each other.
funny. Like I
Yeah.
said, the only political lines these guys are crossing are the ones between us and them. And they're crossing those political lines between us and them to spit on us and look down their smug noses at us. And then they go back to their little safe spaces where they all share the same opinion on stuff.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah, seeing it unfold in front of our eyes, Canada.
Yeah, we don't have cottages like Lisa Raitt to be worried about. She's like, you know what? I'm worried about my cottage, my summer cottage. It's like, no, these people are hiking in the woods because they can't afford any other recreation.
Right.
That's because of the decisions of these moral and intellectual superiors.
and
self-appointed.
it's one of the the very few places that people can escape the government altogether. Because the
Right.
government doesn't have a presence in the woods at all. Like you can just go there and you will find no government under your feet. And so they are prohibiting people from escaping their bad decisions.
Right.
It's a fascinating time in Canada.
They should triple double dog make arson illegal. And that'll really stop all this. Like to say that people who are
Well,
out there hiking are the ones lighting fires.
What
you
are they
know?
going to do about that lightning problem? What are they going to do about lightning? Have they stopped the trains? Because this is especially true in Saskatchewan. Trains start a lot of fires because
BC also. Yeah.
they throw sparks. So what is the governments of, what is it? New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and help.
New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland and Labrador.
Newfoundland and
John
Labrador.
Horgan.
Have they stopped the trains? Like just wondering, have they stopped the trains? Like how far
Yeah.
is this going to go? Meanwhile, these provinces spent little to no money on their forest management programs, which has just made the problem umpteen times worse. I mean, they are dumping money into green initiatives. Like
Right.
they're dumping money hand over fist into green initiatives, but not into their forest management programs, which would have a more than negligible impact on the outcome of whatever
Right.
might happen.
Right. I hope they find the forestry departments in charge of all of this stuff
Right. Oh,
in their offices. We've got Newfoundland Premier John Hogan says it'll be very difficult to enforce a ban on hiking and camping in the woods like in other Atlantic provinces. I think he's responding to the absolute blowback that the other provinces are getting on this issue. And at least he's a realist. Let's hear from him.
Is there any plan to ban people from hiking, camping like Nova Scotia and New Brunswick have, given that?
Look, it's very difficult to do that here in Newfoundland and Labrador. I mean, people literally go back and forth to their daily activities and lives and to work on ATVs. People literally
Right.
do live in wooded areas, so I don't know how you ban people from their homes. That's just going to compound the problem in terms of evacuating people who live in or near woods. We felt that taking the steps with the fines will put pressure on people to be careful and to not abuse the privileges that we have in this society. So that's where we are right now.
Is that enough pressure right now?
You know, I think it's the right thing to do right now, and we need to continue to make sure we do everything we can to get the message out there. And I don't know if extra fires popping up in the St. John's area will send a louder message and a clear message, and I certainly hope it does. Again, we're talking about an extremely small percentage of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, not 99.99% or more understand, follow the rules when the fines were $75, let alone when they're $50,000. So we are targeting that very extreme small percentage of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians that may be breaking the Forestry Act regulations.
Okay, so there's a very rare instance, friends. Write it down. We should take this day off next year to celebrate. A very rare instance of a Liberal who's making the right decision to balance the rights of the law-abiding with public safety. What they've done in Newfoundland and Labrador has not been to ban people from the woods. What they did is they jacked up the fine for violating the fire ban to $100,000 because he said it's unreasonable to kick people out of the woods, especially in these heavily wooded areas, right? Like if you kicked me out of the woods, I would have to go stay at a hotel. And so he's making the steps not to punish the overwhelming majority of Newfoundland and Labradorians, I was going to call them Newfies, but I'll get a letter, to who he says 99.99% of them follow the rules. Okay, perfect. So he's choosing not to punish those people, and the ones that do violate the rules, he's throwing the book at them. That is exactly what you're supposed to do. That's how you balance rights versus public safety. Maybe the rest of the Atlantic premiers could learn something, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, what John Hogan did there was exactly what that last podcast panel was laughing at, is he came on the side of the guys that would stand at the end of their driveway with beer, talking about they want punishments harsher than what is currently being dished out for acts of setting fires in forests.
So
But what he
150,000. It's not just 100,000. It's
that's
150. That's perfect.
that's not nothing for the people of rural Newfoundland and Labrador who may be at a slightly higher risk of potentially setting a fire in the forest. What he's done is said, listen, you guys are at a higher risk, so make sure you take care of it. Make sure you practice prudent fire safety, and if you are to start a fire, well, this is the fine that you can expect, and it's not insignificant. $150,000 is a lot of money for just the normal people of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Plus 6 months in jail.
Ooh, that's like even worse. You know what I mean? Like it incentivizes good behavior is what it does. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Scott Reed,
Yeah.
former, I think a former comms director for Paul Martin. He has no clue what normal people do in their driveways. We drink cans of beer in the garage.
Yeah.
We don't stand at the end of the driveway with beer bottles.
We're not heathens. Like, my
Right?
goodness.
Good
Like,
Lord.
we have some class and substance to us.
Now we have
Credit.
6 tickets have already been issued for
Hmm.
people who are violating the woods ban. $150,000 in fines handed out to people violating the woods ban.
Huh.
It's crazy.
It
And
is
of
crazy.
course, the victim surcharge for the government. And so
Unreal.
the fine for violating the fire ban is only 50,000. That's where the disconnect is here.
That's where it's a little bit upside down. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where it's a little bit upside down. And in their rush to look like they're taking things seriously, they didn't think through this matter and how it was going to land on the actual people of Nova Scotia. They took some expert's opinion. Like somebody pitched this as we're going to keep everybody out of the woods, okay? And if they go in the woods, they're going to be. This was just an ill thought out, bad, terrible, awful plan that got away on them. But there is room to course correct. There
Right.
is room to course correct. Do we think that they're going to? No, it sounds like they're kind of doubling down on their terrible, no good, awful ideas. So it's the people in Nova Scotia are going to have a little bit of a steep climb ahead of them dealing with their own government.
Yeah, the government learned a lot during COVID, didn't it? But people also learned a lot too. And they learned that sometimes the government makes dumb rules that don't do anything except take your rights away. And
Right.
so you shouldn't follow dumb rules. It's actually one of the things that Jordan Peterson says, don't follow dumb rules. This is one of those things. And people have learned that the tyranny doesn't go away unless you civilly object to it. And that's what's happening right now. But what is it? Halifax waterfront. I don't know. Local news traffic. This looks like it's the local news from Halifax. Truro Police Service has increased foot patrols and bike patrols of our wooded and trail areas. Okay, please remain out of all restricted areas, which include Upper Victoria Park and Rail Yard Bike Park. I'm reliably informed that doing such things causes fires.
Right.
So
Yes.
how come their shoes and bikes don't start fires?
Yeah.
But
Well,
your
what we
shoes and
did
bikes
was
do.
what we just did was declare public spaces the private property of police.
Right.
Like so that they can just ride their bikes in peace without encountering anybody ever. That's what we just did here. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Susan Holt, Suze, the Premier of New Brunswick, has now started to say, because people are pointing out the absurdity of my shoes are going to cause lightning strikes.
Yeah.
And my fishing rod is going to somehow cause static to ignite a fire. People have pointed out the absurdity of that. And so now she's actually changing the reason. So she's moving the goalpost about why you should stay out of it. And it's not because you're going to cause a fire. It's other
Right.
reasons.
Right.
You'll suddenly learn how to not walk anymore. Your legs won't work when you get out there. And then what?
Mm-hmm.
We've got about a few weeks left in summer before kids are back at school, and of course, many New Brunswickers naturally want to get back into the forest. What will it take for that to happen?
What will it take for that to happen? Yeah, a lot of rain. That's, I was going to say, an act of God. What we need is rain. We need the forests to get the water that they need to not be as dry and as in tinder-ready conditions that fires can start with just the slightest bit of heat that could come from a motorized vehicle, that could come from a lens, from a spark or otherwise. So if everybody can get out their best rain song, rain dance, rain prayers, that's what it'll take to get to the point where we know that the risk of fires is down, and we're encouraging people to, it's a great time to go out and take your dog for a walk on the beach. But I do want to speak to the people who are frustrated by the notion of an inability to go hiking or fishing, and I understand that frustration. it's something that we all love to do as New Brunswickers, is to get out into the woods and to do that with our family, our friends, our pets, and otherwise. And the notion that me going for a walk in the woods is going to cause a fire, I can understand why people think that that's ridiculous. But the reality is, it's not that you might cause a fire. It's that if you're out there walking in the woods and you break your leg, we're not going to come and get you, because we have emergency responders that are out focused on a fire that is threatening the lives of New Brunswickers. And if you take your boat out fishing in a pond in Crown Land and you capsize, we're not going to be able to come and help you out, because our first responders are focused on an immediate and serious threat to our province. And so it's the possibility of diverting emergency resources away from where they are really needed, which is why we're asking New Brunswickers. This is something we're asking them to do. There are private woods where you can do what you want in New Brunswick, but we're asking you to make the safe choice for our first responders, for your neighbors, and for our woods. We can do that on the public lands that the government has authority over, and we're asking you to recognize that, yes, you want to go for a walk in the woods. Okay, well, like there's a lovely walk just nearby that doesn't threaten our first responders and our response to a dozen fires in this province that are getting worse by the day. And we need to keep our trails clear, our roads clear. We need to have as minimal barriers to the effective delivery of firefighting and to putting these out as possible. So it is an ask. We are asking New Brunswickers, please find somewhere else to walk with your friends and family right now, so that we can keep the risk of having to care for you in those places that are hard for us to reach, while we care for the people whose homes may be under threat in Irishtown, for the people that are experiencing fires outside the Miramichi and Bathurst. I want to say thank you to everybody who has been following along, who has been careful to...
It's enough lies. So now it's not that you will, like, she starts off her whole speech saying your lenses, your glass lenses are going to cause a fire, and that's why you need to stay out of the woods. And then she says, but wait a minute, that's not why we're telling you to stay out of the woods. It's because you won't be able to use your legs out there, and your boat will capsize, but only on public lands, not on privately owned lands.
Her use of unreasonable hypothetical situations here is staggering. Did you just hear what she said? She was like, well, listen, not to say that it won't happen, but if you go out on Crown lands, we are just way too busy to deal with you. If something terrible happens, so if something terrible happens to you while you're out in the woods, why? All of our first responders are busy and you're just going to die there. Does that remind you of any other time in history when they told us that? If you don't do what we say, someone will die. And this time she's like, and it's you.
Right. And
that's literally what she's saying.
If you don't stay out of the grocery stores, you are going to contract COVID, and then you're going to go to the hospital, and we won't be able to help you because the hospitals are already overloaded with COVID patients. And this is exactly the same scarcity of resources nonsense they pulled on us during COVID.
So not to promote this idea or anything, but that photo of those police officers on their bikes, right? Each of those bikes should have like a Zambulance behind them, like a stretcher on wheels, just in case those first responders encounter somebody that's broke their leg wherever they're patrolling. They should be multi-purpose first responders starting right now. If this is such a concern, this is such a concern in New Brunswick, well, then those guys should also have the ability to haul somebody out of the woods if they find them in their hurts. So
I don't
get
they
on
can't
that.
even put on their helmets straight. Yeah, they should get one of those little drag behind ambulances and stuff Scott Reed in it and take him to the nut house.
Listen, if those little drive behind ambulances, those bike driven ambulances work for the people of sub-Saharan Africa, they'll work here too. Watch.
Right. Yeah, it's the same scarcity of medical resources.
Just there's nobody available.
If you get sick.
There's nobody available.
It's
and
like,
especially if you do
who are
this to
helping
yourself.
then?
Especially if you do this to yourself. Okay.
Right.
We warned you, but if you if you go into those woods and hurt yourself, then you're on your own.
I
It's
challenged
crazy.
Scott Reed to a off-grid camping trip.
We'd win. Like within the first 2 hours. He'd be
Yeah.
trying to find cell reception, getting up to the high
Oh,
spots.
yeah.
Get me out of here. He'd be
I'm out of
saying,
contact with Corey tonight. What will I do?
oh, just
Honestly.
the best. Let's do it.
I'm not taking
Let's do
advice
it.
from Scott Reed if I can field dress a deer. You know what I mean? Like, no, thank you.
These are not the people that we want to take advice from.
Right.
Yes.
This from Tracy Wilson over at the CCFR. We love Tracy.
Yes.
From the New Brunswick Chief Firearms Officer. And this is why Alberta and Saskatchewan have our own chief firearms officers, not the ones sent to us by the Liberals. They are closing all the shooting ranges. And it's not because bullets will start a fire, because it won't, but it is because you're out there again. And what if you suddenly lose all ability to walk and they have to come rescue you? On August 9th, the province of New Brunswick announced that due to extreme fire risk and to protect sensitive habitats, all activities on Crown land must cease. This restriction took place, blah, blah, blah. In alignment with the provincial directive, the Provincial Firearms Office is advising that all shooting ranges operating under approvals on New Brunswick Crown lease must immediately suspend operations until the provincial ban is lifted. But it gets worse. We strongly encourage all shooting ranges not located on Crown land to consider suspending operations during this high-risk period in the interest of public safety and environmental protection. Now, they never say what's going to cause the fire, but I guess just people being alive in the forest will do it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Standing in a line, pointing at something off in the distance. That's what causes fires, according to this. But again, like this unnecessary overreach, punishing people who have nothing to do with fires being lit in forests. COVID, terrible, dark, awful COVID era authoritarianism happening right here in front of our faces.
Yeah. And again, the Conservatives on the other side of this, ask yourself, what steps were taken to actually balance civil liberties with public safety? Absolutely none. I think the Newfoundland approach is the way to go. No, don't ban people from the forest. Yes, throw the book at them if they do dangerous things. If they violate that fire ban, if they're out there on ATVs, absolutely throw the book at them and then ask for restitution so that they're paying for this for the rest of their lives. But no, they've just said $50,000 for violating the fire ban and $28,000 for doing some walking. Make that make sense. I found this right before we came on air, so I don't know if you've seen this yet, Lise, but we've, as the poster on X says, we've entered the some people have more rights than others phase of Nova Scotia's travel ban, which we saw during COVID when Black Lives Matter was able to just take over the streets, but going to church or having your mother's funeral, as was the case for me in my Catholic megachurch that seats like 800 people, we were allowed to have 10 people. We could have had each our own section, let alone our own pew, but we could only have 10 because my devoutly Catholic mother, who never missed church, her priest didn't stand up and do the right thing because he was too scared of Dina Hinshaw than he was of the Lord. You know who you are. Anyways, we've entered that same phase of the climate lockdowns because a Micmac play can go on the land, and he says as it should, and I agree with that. But picnicking in the woods is a $25,000 fine plus surcharges. Like when Ontario allowed the Leafs game, but backyards and barbecues were illegal. Yes, exactly.
So this is being allowed. There's an exemption being made for this event.
Yeah.
But not any of the other events that aren't First Nations related. Am I getting that right?
Right. Again, this is how COVID will infect you if you're if you go to like a conservative evangelical church. COVID will get you there. But if you go to the Church of Black Lives Matter, no, you are perfectly fine. So COVID got you based on politics. This is fires are started solely based on ethnicity, I believe. That's what gets electricity going, gets
I
the
want, I want,
lightning to strike.
is there going to be a sacred fire? Is there going to be a sacred fire at this play? Like, if they wanted to, could they have a sacred fire? And if
Bet they
so,
could.
what would happen with what terrible, awful thing would happen with that sacred fire? Can bad things occur after a sacred fire is lit? Oh, those are all questions for the government over there in Nova Scotia.
Yes. One last thing on this topic, and I'm sure that the commenters, our chatters, our super chatters, I bet you guys are going to have a lot to say on this. But New Brunswick, their ban is being challenged by the Justice Center. So lawyers provided by the Justice Center, they've issued a legal warning to New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt and Minister of Natural Resources and Energy Development John Herron, calling on the province to end its controversial province-wide ban on public access to Crown land. The ban, introduced as a fire prevention measure, prohibits even low-risk activities like hiking, cycling, right, because your bike is the problem, not the police bikes, fishing, or walking a dog. You know how dogs are incendiary.
My spontaneously combusting Pekingese. That's what I have.
Right,
I'm just
right.
waiting any minute now. She's just going to burst into a cotton ball of flames. Poor
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
let's hope it doesn't happen in the woods.
Yeah. You know how my ugly snaggletooth dog Morgan gets chewing on a bone and then sparks just get flying and then all of a sudden forest is gone. Same thing. Completely same thing. Same. I think that's the last thing on that. Let's hit an ad break and then we'll come back and talk about China still going after our canola farmers and more nonsense.
More.
Gun bans make great distractions.
Trudeau may be gone, but Carney has picked up his same rhetoric.
We will quickly, and I mean quickly, reinvigorate the buyback of
Hunters, collectors, competitors, and defenders of tradition are still being targeted, while criminals run wild under Liberal policy. But we are fighting back. Join us. Canada's National Firearms Association, in defense of freedom.
I'm still mad at Scott Reed. Like, I'm just fuming inside at that soft-handed urbanite lecturing us.
Let it propel you forward, Sheila Gunn Reid. The way that I can live on a little bit of bitterness, just a little bit, just a tiny little bit. Ooh, it can propel me forward. Just let that work in your benefit, my dear.
I'm spite motivated. I know it. I know it's not exactly the Christian response, but I am spite motivated, and I do a lot of things in my day just for spite, to get the best of my enemies. And it could be worse. I could smoke. I could gamble. I don't do those things. So whatever. It's cheaper. I want to share a message from our friends at the Wellness Company. Are you still feeling off after the COVID vaccine? You're not alone, and new research backs it up. In a groundbreaking study, risk stratification for future cardiac arrest after the jab. Dr. Peter McCullough highlights the alarming rise in sudden cardiac events among young and previously healthy individuals. His study found that tiny hidden patches of heart inflammation, often missed by doctors, could silently be building up, leading to sudden heart attacks during exercise or sleep. That's all I do. That's why the wellness company created the 3-in-1 Ultimate Spike Detox, crafted with 100% natural ingredients specifically designed to help your body clear harmful spike proteins, reduce inflammation, and support heart health. Don't wait until symptoms strike. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. McCullough, a top freedom-fighting doctor who risked it all. Go to twc.health/rebel and use the code REBEL to get 10% off plus free shipping. Now, the free shipping is for our American friends, but you still get your 10% off if you're Canadian, and get back to that pre-COVID feeling. I know a lot of you took the COVID vaccine, not because you wanted to, not because you thought it was effective, but as a vaccination against unemployment and or loneliness and depression. And I know a lot of you live with regret and now fear. And this, it is, could be a way for you to help lift some of those fears off you. Again, that's twc.health/rebel and the code REBEL to get 10% off. Okay, let's get into China being, and again, no one's going to care because this is happening to Westerners. So they already have tariffs on Canadian canola.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're slapping a temporary 75.8% duties on Canadian canola on top of the 100% tariff that they have. And this is all in response to protectionist policies to protect Eastern Ontario and Quebec-based jobs that were already heavily subsidized by the federal government in the electric vehicle sector. And they slapped a tariff on Chinese-made electric vehicles to protect the market here. And so China in response said, okay, we're tariffing your canola 100%. And now they're slapping duties on top of that, but it's okay because it's not affecting the dairy farmers in Ontario and Quebec, or even the electric vehicle manufacturers in Ontario and Quebec. It's somehow Canadian farmers out here in the West are getting it. But don't worry, Carney doesn't care.
Well, speaking of Carney, where is our federal government making announcements that they're going to have the best, they're going to have the backs of Western ag producers? Where is our Minister of Agriculture? Making it clear to farmers on the prairies that they are not going to be left holding the bag on sudden moves that China is making to punish our canola growers. Where is our federal government? Why are they not advocating on Western farmers? Where are they? Where are they altogether? Silent. That is where they are. It is such a failure, like another glaring example of failing Western industry and Western economic drivers for the benefit of a handful of very privileged and elite business people in Eastern Canada. That is what's happening here.
They're destroying our canola industry. We're the world's largest exporter of canola.
Sure are.
And, you know, like, don't write me letters about seed oils. Look, I feel the same way. But the world wants it. It's designed to grow in our climate. You have to swath it for it to ripen because of our short growing seasons. It's developed that way. And this industry is going to be destroyed. And this, I mean, where are my elbows up, friends, on this? This is a Canadian industry with a plant that is specifically designed to grow in Canada. And yet, where are my elbows up, friends, at? Oh, they're over there defending the novelty cars of rich idiots.
It's a distinctly unique sector insofar as that the farmers grow the canola, but also buy all of the fertilizer and all of the inputs that have to, like, it's not just, you don't just go and throw canola on the bare earth and think that it's going to come up. There is so much that goes into growing canola. And if our farmers are negatively impacted, okay, if our farmers aren't making the money, they're not going to be able to afford the fertilizer and all of the fungicides and the what
The
is it, Sheila?
herbicides. It's
Thank you.
Roundup
Yes.
ready. Yeah.
Yeah. They're not going to be able to. This has an avalanche effect on our economy in the West, and yet our federal government is doing nothing.
Right.
They've abandoned our ag sector and Western economy.
Yeah. And you just can't pivot. Like people are saying, well, just plant barley. Okay. Okay. Do you know what a header is worth for your combine? Switching your bins, switching all your equipment, like everything. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes. Just to pivot crops. Yes, that is the absolute truth. Farmers,
it's not
farmers
like,
are
oh, we're not gonna plant potatoes, we're gonna go to beets. Like,
or
in your
cabbage.
garden. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah. It's a lot different. And farmers are the first one to admit that they're land rich and assets. I mean, into the investment of millions of dollars to keep their farm equipment and their assets in working condition, and to switch on a dime just isn't possible. Everything is specialized on a farm, everything. So canola is where we're at right now. The federal government is not helping. As a matter of fact, they're making things worse, and we just got a lot of thoughts for our canola producing folks across the prairies.
I almost know no farmers that don't have other jobs. Like it feels like they just
Oh my God, all of
to
them.
make equipment payments.
No, all of them. Sheila, I don't know a single
oil
farmer
industry.
that doesn't have a side gig or two or three. That is the truth. These are guys that run their farms in between all of their other jobs because farming alone doesn't pay the bills.
Right. I mean, the oil industry is perfectly symbiotic with the farming industry. A lot of those guys are the exact same guys.
Yeah.
It's my experience over here. And it's because spring breakup perfectly coincides with seeding, and a harvest is fall breakup. So when the roads are muck and you can't get on them, then you have to get your crops off. And that's how those two industries work together. And guess what? Two industries are under attack by the Liberals. Not that the Liberals actually care. Let's move ahead to green fuel regulations. Now, talking about canola and the loss of arable cropland for crops that people want, wouldn't it be interesting if they wanted to use our food crop land for biodiesel? And that sounds like there's some of that happening here. So Cabinet's own green fuel regulations may leave Canadians more reliant on American gas and diesel imports. According to Environment Minister Julie Debruson's department, Canadian makers of products like biodiesel were struggling to meet expected demand under a federal mandate. Well, the good thing is that Americans grow a lot of corn for ethanol additives, which I don't think is a great idea, because that land should be used for growing food.
That's right.
So that people can eat, and we should be burning the oil in our cars, not the food in our cars. But this is the logic of the left.
Yeah, the oil that just comes out of the ground unimpeded. That's what we should be using. But in order to chase these green net zero sustainability initiatives, they will come up with any crazy project to try and offset their carbon footprint when there's really no business case for it, when you could be using that land for more adequate purposes.
You know, I forget the name of the documentary, but I watched it a few years ago, and it was a documentary filmmaker who was on the left, and he was sort of like a war documentary. And he came home from being in, some of the more horrible places of the world, the war-torn parts of Africa and the Middle East. And he came home and realized he couldn't buy any local potatoes in Europe. And he's like, why? Why can't I eat the potatoes here? And everything was being used for biodiesel. And,
is that right?
And he did an entire documentary of the loss of crop acreage to biodiesel, which, if you care about your climate footprint, why are we not growing crops for food locally? Instead, we started importing potatoes from far away. Because you were using the locally grown potatoes to burn in your VW. Like it was just nonsensical, but he sort of he tells the story of trying to find a potato grown locally to eat, and then he sort of like picks away at the threads about what they're actually growing the local potatoes for, and it wasn't so that you could eat them, it was so that you could burn them in your car. Yeah. Anyways, that's what they want more for us. Here, let's get to something in Lisa's wheelhouse. This is from our friend Melanie Bennett over at Juno News. Exclusive: girl athletes silenced over concerns about male teammate in dorms. Members of Team Nova Scotia's girls volleyball roster returned from the Canada Cup in Toronto under threat of sanctions after raising private concerns about competing against a male teammate. Now, that would not happen here in Alberta. Members of, the 17-year-old male MVP, no doubt, athlete was selected for the Cheaters Team Nova Scotia roster after a strong club session in which he was named the most valuable player after his team won the championship. I bet he was. However, the male's inclusion on the girls' provincial team, this is very complicated because the team administration picked him because they want to cheat, right?
Well,
but
sure.
they didn't ever once think about the girls they were imposing this on. However, the male's inclusion on the provincial team required him to travel to Ontario and share accommodations with female athletes. According to multiple sources who spoke to True North, no prior disclosure or consent process was offered to the female players or their parents regarding his placement in female spaces, which left the girls grappling with the imposed reality that they had no power to challenge. He had been assigned to the girls' dorm. Some teammates expressed concern in a private Snapchat group. They reached out to their head coach, who summoned the players from the program's elite teams for a meeting. He condemned the chat as disgusting, laced with transphobia and homophobia, and threatened to expel any girls involved from the team and the upcoming club season. In a subsequent email to parents, he echoed this stance, alleging his LGBTQ+ athlete had been targeted with rude and disrespectful remarks, yet omitted any mention of the trans athlete's male biology. Another email sent to parents revealed even fewer details.
The absolute gaslighting nerve of that man. The absolute gaslighting nerve of that man. So here we have another situation unfolding in Canada, just like in Saskatchewan, where the rights of mentally ill people are overriding the rights of women and girls. Here in Nova Scotia, you have an entire team of girls that is justifiably uncomfortable with having to play against and then fraternize within intimate spaces, aka sleeping spaces or changing spaces. And when they raised a red flag for themselves, they were told to sit down and shut up, because it is not their rights that anybody is concerned about. It is the rights of a mentally ill male child that have been prioritized. This is what happens in Canada when the law prioritizes mental illness over the rights of women and girls. Another example. And it's patently insane that in 2025, Alberta is the singular province that has laws on the books that prohibits this from happening to women and girls. It's patent insanity. Nova Scotia, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's clear the coach wanted to cheat. He wants an upper hand in nationals. I look at this.
Of course, Sheila Gunn-Reid.
With a high-level female athlete under my roof. She plays at the provincial level. She plays at the national level. And what I see, besides the fact that the rights to privacy are being violated for these girls, but also, I mean, these major tournaments like this are an opportunity for you to be seen by schools who will offer you athletic scholarships.
Sure.
And so a girl who was good enough was not selected to go to play at nationals.
That's exactly right. That's
because
exactly
this boy
right.
went in her place. And so she is not going to get the opportunity to possibly be seen by coaches who would be willing to offer her that opportunity. And for a lot of kids who are playing their sports, that might be the only way that they go to university. And this is being stolen from them by these cheaters.
That's right. It doesn't just, allowing a biological male athlete to displace a female athlete doesn't just rob her of the experience of the day, okay? Doesn't
It's
just
future.
rob her of her ability to compete that day. It takes away all of her opportunity. That's what it does every single time this happens. And across the country of Canada, this is happening in every sport, in every age bracket, across the board, except for in Alberta, where there are laws prohibiting it. But to say that this hasn't had a monumental effect on female athletes, on girls wanting to play sports, because this is not going to inspire any confidence in the girls of Nova Scotia to know that if they speak out, they're going to be labeled as hateful and transphobic or whatever that letter stated from the coach. Was it Sheila Gunn-Reid?
Hateful and disrespectful.
Right, hateful. So girls aren't going to risk being called that. So this is where the rest of us really, really have to speak up on behalf of girls and women in sport in Canada, like all of us together.
It's not just dangerous, it's not, and there's another level. So the girls on the other team, this is dangerous for them. Like, yes, volleyball is a no contact sport, but we have seen where trans identifying male born players are playing on the girls team and they are hurting the girls. And not just like a minor, like, oh, I got a bruise, like catastrophic head injuries.
Yeah, like concussions, these women are suffering. Memory loss and long-standing medical issues that these women, after being forced to compete against these males without ever being told they were competing against males. So not only are we robbing the female athletes' ability to advocate on their own behalf because they're not being told that they're competing against males, but when they do get hurt, when they do get injured, we're offering them no recourse because we are standing up for the rights of the mentally ill boy instead of the sex-based rights of the women or girls.
Right. And like, what do you think it's like for a girl athlete, any athlete, to get a major catastrophic concussion right in the middle of a school year? It's bad. Very bad. It'll affect their academic career, could forever. And that could be the least of it. Okay, let's move ahead because there's more. From Juneau, again, Melanie Bennett just ripping it up.
She is the best.
Just ripping it up on these issues. Hamilton Mayor Andrea Horwath, so the former NDP leader in Ontario, decries transphobic Billboard, and the transphobic is using the words of Andrea Horwath, opposing child gender transitions.
Wait until you guys see what the Billboard actually said. Brace yourselves.
Brace yourselves, you guys.
Brace yourselves for an onslaught
grab them pearls, you guys.
Okay.
It says letkidsbe.ca. We have one of these billboards out here in Alberta. Although I'm not sure it's necessary anymore, but it says letkidsbe.ca. Stop medical transitions for minors. And so again,
the hate speech. The hate speech.
Again, it's what we do out here in Alberta. We don't transition our kids. Apparently that's hate speech, according to the former NDP leader, now the mayor of Hamilton. And now the billboard has been removed. Why? Because the billboard sits on land owned by the city. So this is how the city used political pressure.
Municipal overreach. Sure. Municipal
Censor.
government overreach. That's exactly what they did. They put pressure on the media company that would have placed that would have approved and planned and placed the board, and then the board had to come down. But what an absolute outrage. I mean, there's nothing controversial about what that billboard says. Leave the kids alone, okay?
It's what most of the civilized world is doing at this point.
Stop medical transitioning the children. And here Andrea Horvath walks in. How much do you want to bet? How much do you want to bet that she is the mother of a complicated child?
I believe she is, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. See, the thing about these about trans mommies, we'll say, okay, somebody with a child that's exercising their gender identity and expression rights, is no amount of good sense or statistical data will ever convince them that what they've done is wrong, because that would force the mother of a gender nonconforming child to admit that she's done her own child wrong, that she's somehow harmed her own child. So we see this all the time in, working on the culture wars, where a mother of a trans youth will be the absolute loudest detractor of anybody offering any dissent whatsoever. This sounds a lot like what's happening here, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, I guess according to Andrea Horvath's logic, Denmark is just now proliferated, full of radical, conservative extremists, one of the most liberal and progressive places on the face of the earth. And even they have taken what do they call, a watchful waiting approach to gender transition, instead of just like, let us get in there with the hormones and the scalpels.
Yeah. Same as the UK, same as the Netherlands, same as like so many civilized nations,
right,
including the United States, have turned their back on this and started to admit that this is a medical scandal, unlike any medical scandal that we've seen before, that something got terribly, terribly lost in the weeds, and that we're going to bring it back to normal. This is what's happening everywhere else in the world, except for in Canada, where Andrea Horvath can keep spewing her really antagonistic and aggressive language towards people, regular, common sense, normal people, that we just don't do this in a civilized society. We do not harm our children this way.
Andrea Horvath's, this is from Reddit, Hamilton. 5 years ago, Andrea Horvath's son raps about getting away with a DUI because of his mom, embarrassing Hamilton.
This is the complicated
I found this.
family
I was
situation.
Like, I just put Andrea Horvath kid, and this is what came up. So
wow,
intuition never fails.
Yeah, that's what it looks like is happening here. Is Andrea Horvath is projecting her own ideology on the people of Hamilton by speaking on her own family's behalf, it sounds like.
She's got to clean up her own room, as Jordan Peterson would say. Yeah,
That-
I just plunked that Reddit post.
That would be
to Reddit, so I don't know what I'm doing. But Andrea Horvath's son raps about getting away with a DUI because of his mom, embarrassing Hamilton. And then there's I think it's an archived YouTube post. Also, you'll notice all the like satanic stuff and anyway, that's about it.
What that family looks like. That woman would be the last person on earth I would take advice from in this regard. Just absolutely not credible. That's
good grief. She'll tell you what's right for your kids, though. She'll tell you what's right. Okay, let's see what else is on our list here. Anita Anand. She says the humanitarian suffering in Gaza has reached unimaginable levels. Urgent action is needed to halt and reverse starvation. This is what she posted on X, which I guess is a step up from her "this arrow, hate has no home here" to a Jewish man being beaten on the streets of Montreal. Canada's calling on the government of Israel to provide authorization for all international NGO aid supplements and to unblock essential humanitarian assistance. What is she talking about? Israel is delivering aid, but she's falling victim to these staged Hamas photos that show starving people, and it's like it came out that they were completely staged. There's an entire industry around this. It's called Pollywood, as in Palestine Hollywood, where they fake this stuff. And the local terrorist thugs are looting the shipments of aid that are coming in from Israel. And you know, she should really be asking herself, why are we even delivering aid to a place that used to be lush with greenhouses when Israel left Gaza to the care and control of Hamas?
Right. What happened to all of that infrastructure? Interesting that. But this also plays into their hand that Palestine must achieve statehood so that they may gain credibility with the international community, so that aid may flow over the border without resistance. This is the argument that they're using for Palestinian statehood, is that, you know, there's a safety threat. There's a threat of starvation. There's a threat of famine or whatever. You know, people being harmed. And if she extricated herself from her confirmation bias in watching all of those contrived narratives fall out of the area, well, then maybe she would be better suited to make a good call on this.
Yeah. Then from Foreign Policy Canada, so still under the purview of Anita Anand, Canada condemns the killing of Al Jazeera journalists in Gaza. This is wild.
What?
We got to go to Cian Bexte's Twitter account or his
Yes,
X
we
account.
do. Yes, we do.
Journalists are civilians, not these ones. Targeting them is unacceptable. We call on full accountability and for the protection of media everywhere. Press freedom, not a target. Okay. It's real funny how Foreign Affairs Canada has more care and concern for Al Jazeera journalists who are also Hamas fighters.
A journalist plant, sure.
Than actual Canadian journalists that were this far from having to sue to get into the G7. And we would have had to sue, but we got a court date and they're like, oh, we're going to lose in court. We got to let them in. So I love how they believe in press freedom for Hamas fighters who put on a press vest, but they don't have any concern for Canadian journalists here in Canada excluded routinely from government events. And let's go to Cian Bexte's X account, because he's been just an absolute delight on this, because this is Heather McPherson. She is an NDP MP who says more journalists, including beloved Anas al-Sharif, murdered tonight in Gaza. This was a targeted attack on journalists stationed outside a hospital. These war crimes continue while the Liberal government continues to take action, sanctions, arms embargo, suspend trade now. This beloved terrorist Anas al-Sharif, real mask off moment for the hopeless morons in Canada's NDP. This guy was a Hamas operative.
Sure.
And actually he had a sit-down interview with Rachel Gilmore, by the way, who is absolutely losing her marbles on this.
What?
Yeah.
He had a sit-down, the guy who died had a sit-down interview with Rachel Gilmore. And now Rachel Gilmore is upset about a terrorist who was just recently unmasked as a terrorist, who was playing journalist.
Yep.
That is wild.
As Cian says, he's asking Rachel if she's ever accepted money or benefits from Al Jazeera or its state funder, Qatar.
What'd she say?
She
because she's for sale, guys. Like, she's for sale.
Yeah. So Al Sharif, a journalist from Al Jazeera, who Rachel Gilmore says was very cool, was just blown up in Gaza. I'm reading from Cian's tweets, for being a confirmed terrorist that advanced rocket attacks, terrorist training, and deeply integrated into the journo-terroristic activities in Gaza.
Journo-terroristic.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, it's
And this is so well, you see, ugh, this is where those operations, those
Hollywood.
Hollywood operations can get really, really complicated really, really fast.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, you have the MSM and the left-wing media saying that this guy was martyred, basically, that he was
Right.
martyred in the act of journalism, when in reality, he was an operative working for the bad guys pretending to be a journalist.
Right.
Ooh, that's sticky. I wouldn't want to be the person to have had interviewed him in the last little while.
Well, and
Tie
that's
yourself
why
to terrorism. I mean, that's basically what it is Rachel Gilmore is now tied to international terrorism. Is
right.
she
And
not?
right. And she's the first one to call the Freedom Convoy terrorists. And it's like,
Right.
I've never actually been around someone that celebrated the rape and murder of children like she has. And, you know, here, the problem is they're so tied to this now they can't get off the train. They're on the crazy train. It's going off the cliff because you can't, like you've been so duped.
You can't delicately extricate
No.
yourself from this line of thinking and this line of exploration that you've been doing for the last several years. Like there's
Yeah.
no way you can divorce yourself, right? You're married to it now. You're
Yeah.
committed and you're going to dig in. And I think that's what we're seeing here. But God bless Cian Bexty for shining a great big light on it for us.
Yeah, it's what do they call it? Sunk costs. She's got a lot of sunk costs invested here. I don't know
Yep.
how she can extricate herself from this. And it's real cute how she was called before committee in the House of Commons as some sort of
Was she ever?
expert on extremism.
Was she ever? She was so. She was.
guess-
And she testified
she
at the
is.
UN. She testified at the UN about this exact topic. This is who we're trusting as an expert. Another one bites the dust, Canada. Another expert bites the dust.
Speaking of the attack on the Jewish man that Anita Nant just didn't have enough in her to muster any response other than just a simple slogan of hate has no home here and like this with an arrow. The suspect was arrested. Alleged suspect. 23-year-old man has been charged with assault causing bodily harm after a video showing a Jewish father being relentlessly attacked as his children stood by in horror. Sergio Yanez Preciado, I can just feel Efron Monsanto Flores cringing at my pronunciation. He's scheduled to appear at the Montreal courthouse today after being arrested on Monday following tips to law enforcement from a local Jewish community group about his whereabouts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're gonna get the story is gonna come out in the wash.
Yeah.
But it is great to hear that he was arrested in such a short amount of time. Not before the Liberals could decry it as just an act of violence. This isn't a hate crime. This isn't a hate crime, guys. If you're the Liberal government, and if this happened to any other group of people, they would absolutely label it a hate crime. But in this case, it's just violence.
Right.
It's just violence. So we'll see what's going to happen with the aggressor in this and how the courts will handle him. Any guesses, Sheila Gunn-Reid?
Yeah, exactly. Pretend that guy that was beaten was a woman in a hijab.
Right.
And we'll just see how people would react.
Somebody holding a rainbow flag.
Right.
Same.
Oh, yeah. Same.
Same.
Let's go to the chats, and then we got our daily cringe, and it's the one that I put in there because I really would like least react to this one. I feel like she's just going to get off the rev limiter on this. I ended up on a TikTok deep dive to see if I could learn more about what was happening. So let's get to our chats. Rocky Mountain Duke is this $5. Thanks so much. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. This is like the third time someone has given this to us in response to what is happening in the Atlantic provinces, and it is completely true. Founding fathers knew. Yeah.
Preach, Rocky Mountain Duke.
P Schofield 10 gives us $5. So wish your Eastern province premiers would use the same excuse twice. Yeah, they can't keep their stories straight. Yeah. The last 2 minutes of Susan Holt was nonsense. Nice to know that this will not happen in the new country. Exactly. In the new country.
Yes, we should have. I should have like a little bell that we ring here every time somebody
New
says the new
country.
country. Yeah,
I'll have wind
Pavlovian.
chimes.
Yeah,
Just wind chimes.
Yes. We will compel people to have positive mental feedback whenever we say those terms. Yeah, that term, the new country.
Okay, so those are our chats so far. This is your chance to get the final round of chats in because I have to film something after this, both Lisa and I, and then move on to whatever else the day throws at me. The Daily Cringe. And I saw this it ended up in my Twitter account, and then I was like, this is from TikTok. I ended up on this lady's TikTok account. I felt so bad for her. I'm surprised the wedding didn't end in a fist fight. I would have punched out everybody. And I'm not someone who resorts to violence, but the brother, the mom, all of you, awful people. I hope you see this. This comes to us on X from Diana Alistair. And it says, this is how this absurdly enormous man chose to show up at his sister's wedding. It gets worse, you guys.
No, in a wedding dress.
His mom bought him in a fancier dress than the bride's. The bride's dress was nice. It was sort of subtle and nice. And she says, I would have kicked his goofy looking arse right back out the door and told him to stay gone. Mums too. The bride's face says it all. He got into the photos. He wore a tiara.
This is the bride's brother that showed up at her wedding dressed up, beclowning himself in front of all of their friends and family.
His sister, upstaging the women, wearing a tiara. The mom. First of all, you don't wear white to somebody else's wedding.
I mean, the ways that you can tell he's a man and doesn't know any of the woman etiquette as it pertains to wedding here is
don't wear a wedding dress to somebody else's wedding unless you want to be more woman than the woman. Like you don't even wear an off-white outfit. Don't even wear silver gray. You have to get into another. Don't wear ivory.
Don't wear the neutrals.
Go past almond. To get over to taupe if you have to, but this is outrageous. Let's go to the TikTok of this lady because she TikToks her feelings and she is absolutely destroyed. I'm not someone who's hung up on weddings. I feel like the details of the wedding don't exactly matter, or at least they didn't to me. It was just like the result of the wedding was more important to me than the details. The idea of having all my friends and family showing up and eating my food and drinking my booze just was sort of like but like that, the whole part of being married was fine for me. But this woman, this is the bride talking. This is her TikTok. I ended up on her TikTok for hours.
Show it to me. Okay. Show it to me right now.
To do with the wedding dress drama. So basically, my brother turned up to my wedding last week like this. I don't know how he finds that acceptable, but the worst thing is my mum bought it, the dress. It was meant to be my special day. I turned up in the car and the woman turned around and said, which one's the bride? Obviously it was me. And it weren't just that, like, I've been getting messages, like, not messages, but he's been putting things on social media saying everyone was giving dead looks, and no one wants to be seen but with him, and that. Of course not, if you're going to look like this on your sister's wedding day. He's outstaging me. I'm the one getting married, not him. See, that's what's been going on.
He treated her wedding like a coming out party.
Yes, and the mom helped.
A gender reveal at her wedding. This woman deserves a do-over wedding. I'm just saying
without her horrible family there.
Like let's do consider all contributing to her vacation getaway to redo her wedding where she doesn't have to compete with her absurdly tall and not nice looking brother who is sex pretending in front of their entire family. Like, I couldn't think of
In a
anything more
ball gown.
embarrassing.
Like it was like his debutante ball.
There is a level of formal there that he went over.
No, he literally got a wedding dress, and his mom bought it.
Like an extraordinarily elaborate wedding dress. Where's the bride?
It would be dead to me. Dead to me.
Yes, dead. I would be absolutely furious. And this bride has every right to feel like her family let her down on her special day.
I think is that the mom, like in between, like sort of photo bombing there by the gargantuan brother?
Looks like it could be like proper age. So this could be a family photo. This is wild. Anyway, tell us in the comments what would happen if your brother, if one of your relatives showed up at your wedding and upstaged you on your very most important day. Tell us in the comments what you would do.
I can't even believe that poor woman. And then like somebody says, "Who's the bride?"
I mean, at that point, you just look at your brother and you say, go change right now, immediately into something else. Right now, go change.
Like at that point, if a fist fight breaks out, is the wedding any more ruined than it already is?
This is the point where the bride can legitimately threaten not to show up at the altar. Like, this is where the bride can be like, if he is wearing that in the venue while we are getting married,
I'll be at the courthouse.
I'm not going to come. I'm not going to march up the aisle. I'm not going to do it. Like, he has to do something about his gross overreach of etiquette, or this whole thing is not happening. But you know what? This guy's the type of guy that would be absolutely fine with that. Open all of the presents, cut the cake himself, and go home with himself on the wedding night. Like, this is the kind of guy that this is. Yeah.
And the sense of entitlement. People were giving me dirty looks. Like, he's offended. He's complaining. People were giving him dirty looks. You think you're a 6'5" man in a tiara and a wedding dress at somebody else's wedding? Why do you think they're staring?
Why do you think that might be? Do you have any idea whatsoever? No, these people are so self-centered that they have they have absolutely no idea how they are violating women's rights and women's experiences. It just doesn't even occur to them that there may be an objection. And that's part of this. He should have been sent home to change. Yeah.
But his mom bought the dress.
I mean, then it would be wasting mom's money. And could you imagine all the effort that went into procuring and selecting and getting that dress fitted? Because they had to take in the hips and the chest. Like this, you know what I mean? Like, because he doesn't have the anatomy that would support holding up a dress as elaborate as that. So there was a lot of effort that went into that dress.
I would never speak to any of those people ever again.
Yeah, dead to me. Dead to me.
The mom especially. I think the mom is worse than the brother, because the mom is supposed to be the voice of reason, saying, this is your sister's wedding. You want to do your debutante ball stuff? Do it on your own time. But she's like, yes, let's do it. And I'll even pay. And let's blindside your sister with this on her special day.
Yep, I'll collude with you and I'll go along with you, and your sister will just have to get over it in the moment, which is what happened. I mean, imagine the stress that you would be under in that moment. Imagine, my heart goes out to her. I hope she gets a do-over wedding. I hope that her brother isn't allowed to show up, and that nobody competes with her for best dressed as a bride.
Oh, I can't. She handled it so much better than I would have.
Yeah.
Like, so much better. I just
can't.
You
know what she needs, Sheila Gunn Reid, is better bridesmaids. And you and I should volunteer to be her bridesmaids, because that is the role of the bridesmaids, is to take care of the bride on the day. And when that happened, right? Like, if that happens in front of us, there will be a stop to it right away. Okay,
that abomination would not have happened.
The bride isn't even going to know that anything is happening in the background. Okay, that is how quickly we would take care of that overstepping, abusive brother that did that to her. Nobody would ever know.
It sounds like, though, that he rolled up precisely at the exact same time as she did. And that, of course, is purposeful.
Right. So that if there was a question of what he was wearing, or if there was any opposition to what he was wearing, then there'd be no opportunity to voice it. Yeah.
Horrible.
Awful.
Okay. I just wanted to show you that because I saw that and I
Thank
was like,
you.
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So bad. And I'm not a, I know a person hung up on the details of a wedding. I don't care about much of that stuff because it seems like a lot of expense for everything to be exactly the same outcome at the end of the day. A lot of debt and expense and planning and stress for you're married at the end of the day. Okay, perfect. And then stuff like that happens. But anyway, let's wrap the show because you and I still have to keep talking after this. For those of you who want to see our hot takes on what happened in Saskatchewan with regard to the legal challenge against the Parents' Bill of Rights, might I suggest you tune into the Gun Show tomorrow. It's 7 Mountain at Rebel News Plus. But also we have clips of the show for free by the weekend, and the podcast is always free wherever you listen to them. I think that's the show for today. Thanks, guys, working behind the scenes for all you do to put the show together. Lise, thanks so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow. It's the Western Wednesdays Buffalo panel tomorrow.
I cannot wait. Like, to say that I've been losing sleep out of just sheer excitement for who we have lined up for tomorrow is not an exaggeration. We're going to have the best Western Wednesday we've had so far tomorrow. Make sure you guys are here.
Yeah, dare I describe it as also a banger tomorrow.
Doubleheader.
Thanks everybody who engages with the show, leaves a comment, shares the show. Those are cheap, easy, actually free ways to help get us in front of more eyeballs. The more engaged our content is, the more the platforms serve it up to more eyeballs. So we appreciate you for that. Those of you who pitch in are regular donors. We know who you are. Thanks for doing what you can to help us keep spreading the good word of small government and personal responsibility over here at Rebel News. And as the new Sheila and Lise tagline goes, if you find us offensive, maybe don't find us at all.
And I just want to thank each and every one of you. It's Team Ontario, Team Canada. And there's one thing President Trump has done. One thing. That's the only credit I'm going to give this guy, is he's united the country. He's united the country no matter what political stripe you're from. We're all Canadians, we're all Ontarians, and we're going to fight like no tomorrow. But thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario.